Hello and welcome. In this lesson, we are going to look at the Python functions for creating, for reading, for updating, and deleting files. We actually have one function that is used to work with files, and in the parentheses of the function, we specify the parameters that does the creating, the reading, the updating, and the deleting of files. And that function is called the open function, written open. It takes two parameters. We put the first parameter, which is the file name, and the second parameter, which is the mode. So let's try to start by creating a file, and then we are going to look at how to append to the file, how to read from the file, and we're going to look at what the default values are, and then we're going to look at how to close the file once we are done. If we want to create a new file in Python, we'll say, let's say f is equal to open, and the first parameter is the name of the file. Let's say first file, and we want to create a text file, so it does txt. And if we want to create a new file, we can use the mode is going to be x. So I'm going to put this in parentheses and x. What this does is that it creates a new empty file if it doesn't exist. When we create this file, we can decide that we want to start writing to the file. When we want to write to a file, we use the write method. So we can say f.write, and we want to write, let's say, hello world to this file. And once we are done writing to it, we might want to close the file, f.close. F is a variable that holds the file that we have created. When we create the file, the object has a write method that we use to write to the file, and then we close. Let's save this and see whether we get a file called firstfile.txt created when we run. And then when we look here, we have a firstfile.txt created. When we open that file, we have hello world typed in the file. So this is how we create files and write to the file in Python. If we want to overwrite the content of the file, we can call that file now, and let's say firstfile.text, and then we're going to use the mode to be w, and then f.write, and we'll say, let's say something, this is a replacement content. I'll save this. Always close the file, f.close when you're done. When I run and I come back to my first file, I will have the content has been overwritten using the w mode. If I don't want to overwrite the content, I just want to add to the content of the file, I'm going to use the append mode. And the thing with the append mode is that it creates the file if the file doesn't exist, and if it exists, it just adds content to the file. So let's do something like welcome to file handling in Python. Save this, and then when I run now, I'm going to go back to firstfile.text, and I have a new line added, welcome to file handling in Python. We've looked at the method for creating, for overwriting, for appending. Let's look at the method to read the content of a file. So I'm going to close this file, and let's say I want to read the content of the file. We are going to open the file in read mode with R. Now, because the read mode is the default mode, we do not need to specify it. And we have an optional text, T, to say we are going to have read mode, and we want the text option, or the text mode specified is also an optional option, and it's also the default, or B, which is binary, especially when we do things like images, or we don't specify it at all because these are the default values. When we have that, it creates an object which has a read method, and the read method is going to now read the content of the file. So let's say f.read like this, and then f.close. So when we say f.read, it's going to read the entire content of the file, and it's going to print it out. Now we don't have the thing printed out because we have to use the print statement here. So we'll say print f.read. So I will run again, and then we should have the welcome. This is a replacement context. Welcome to file handling in Python. So we'll have the content read. The read method will read the entire content of the file. If we want to read, like, let's say 10 characters from the file, you can specify 10 here, and when I clear and run, you'll see that it's going to specify just 10 characters from the file. If we want to read just the first line, we have the method readLine like this, and this is going to read just the first line. And when I clear and I run, I will have just the first line read. If I want to read line by line, I can put another f.readLine, or we can do something better by using a loop to read the entire content of the file. So I can say something like, for x, or for line in f, print line, like this, and then I'll do f.close at the end. When I clear here, it's going to read the content one after the other and read everything like this. So you can use a for loop to read the content of the file. Now we can delete the file and also delete a folder, but in Python, for us to delete a file or a folder, we need to import the OS module. And we've looked at the import statement in previous lessons, and we use import like this, but this time we're importing OS like that. When you import OS, it's good practice to always check if that file actually exists. So we'll say if it's written os.path.exist like this, and if it exists, and what we want to check if it exists is firstfile.txt. Firstfile.txt, we want to remove firstfile.txt. So this is how we delete a file. Or we'll say else if it doesn't exist, we want to print the file does not exist. Something like this. Okay? So this is the way we delete a file from a system. And if I clear and run, we'll look here and see that we have firstfile.txt, but when I run, it's going to be deleted, and we don't see that file anymore because we have deleted it. So if we have a folder that we want to remove, we must have an empty folder, and we'll use rmdir like this, and then we'll specify the name of the folder in the parentheses. And this is how we handle files in Python. This is basically everything about file handling. We have the open function, which is used in Python, that handles everything about file, and then the parenthesis takes the parameter that controls everything. And when you use the open function, it returns an object, and the object has methods to write, to read line, to read. And this is where we end this lesson. Thank you, and see you in the next lesson.